Morning, everyone. Morning. Right, we're going to get started now. As you may have heard, Shannon is from the States and graced us with our presence. And her company is Learning Rebels, so that just gives you a little bit of a taste for what you're going to get. So I'm going to make this really brief, but I just wanted to read out her fantastic out-of-office signature, because that will also give you a taste. So currently, Learning Rebels is out getting our groove on. As you can imagine, getting our groove on and helping others save the world from boring training is a job that requires all of our focus. Lose focus for 1 minute and someone sneaks in with a 115-slide PowerPoint deck. Nightly, as I clean off my sword and cheer the success of the day, is when I will attempt to review the contents of this message. I saw that, and that gave me such a smile on my face, so thank you very much. So without further ado, Shannon.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, you know, if you have a business and the name is Learning Rebels, then you better do something to mirror that, right? You better be aligned. And that is actually a good tie-in. Thank you for that. As far as where are you driving your brand? You know, who are you? And when we're talking about marketing, and we're talking about marketing in regards to learning specifically, it is beyond coffee and donuts, right? Because we all know that if you offer food and you offer sweets, then most likely they're going to come and join you. And we want to move beyond that. So as Barbara so wonderfully put, it's actually my pleasure and honor to be here speaking with you today and to once again be in London and with the Learning Technologies group. I've been here before in the past, and it's always just been such a wonderful experience, and everybody's just been fabulous. So officially, good morning. I think we need a little bit more from you on that one. So let's try that one more time. Good morning. Good morning. Fabulous. So now I know that Mike Taylor is in the room next door to me, and I wonder how soundproof these walls are. Should we test that? Okay, so when I count to three, I didn't tell him I was doing this, by the way. So let's 1, 2, 3. Then you guys just shout out, "Hi, Mike." Okay, can you do that for me? Yes, you guys can do that for me? Okay, we'll see whether or not he responds. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hi, Mike. I don't know. We'll see how soundproof these walls are. But I love doing that. Mike's a good buddy of mine. We've known each other forever in the States, and it's always good. We were against each other, obviously, and you know, it's one of those things where you go, "Gee, who's going to be in my room? Who's going to be in his room?" It's a little bit of a competition. But I'm talking about marketing, and marketing is super cool, right? Anybody can go and whip up Feedly and curate some blog posts, but I'm talking about marketing over here, and it's going to be a fun time. So here we go. Now, one of the reasons why I'm even here today is the rollout of the API capability map. So this should not be new news to you, is it? Hopefully not. Okay. So, I was honored to lead the marketing and communications group, which is under the strategy and operations. Now, you may be asking yourselves, what does marketing have to do with learning and development? So how many of you, in all honesty, have that thought in your head right now? Yeah, then that's fair. That's fair. Because usually what happens is that you got your marketing department and they're sitting on one side of the office building, and you have L&D and they're sitting on their side of the office building. And so how do those two things intersect? Well, there was a gentleman in the States, a salesperson, and you may or may not be familiar with his name. His name is Zig Ziglar. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yeah? Good. So Zig Ziglar used to say, you can have the best product in the world. If you can't sell it, you've still got it. Okay? And the same thing applies to your training, to learning and development. You can have the best training in the world, but if people don't connect with it, if people can't find it, if people aren't emotionally attached to it, you've still got it, and they don't. So now how do we move the needle on that? Well, it does in this time become putting on our marketing hats. So, what does this mean? Here's the first question I usually get asked. Are you going to share your slides? So let's get this out of the way right now. Okay? Yes, I'm going to share my slides. And also sharing a branding workbook with you. Who's your buddy? Thank you. Yes? Okay. So QR code or the URL there will take you to the branding sheets. If none of those are working for you, you can go directly to my website, which is learningrebels.com. In the search engine, type in branding, and the workbook will pop up. So if none of those things work for you, although if you go through my website, you don't get the slides, which is probably not a good piece of marketing for me, is it? All right. Does it seem to be working for everyone? Should have taken you to a Dropbox file, is this correct? Yay, I love it when technology works. Okay. Now, also, don't you hate it when the presenter's flipping through their slides and you're trying to take a picture? Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to warn you. I'm going to turn the slide. 3, 2, 1, gone. All right. So, the problem with learning and development these days is that we seem to be missing a marketing department. We're missing that group of people that are out there advocating for what we do. Well, the truth of the matter is that we have to be our own marketing department. And we also have to encourage other people to be our marketing department for us. We can't solely be the mouthpiece attached to it. So, this is the fact of the matter, is that you have to tell the world who you are, because no one else will. And this is tough for us, in all honesty. It's difficult because we're not used to bragging on ourselves, are we? We're not used to saying, hey, look at what we do, look at what we've done. What we do is awesome. It's just not in our nature as L&D people. But it needs to be. Because when it comes down to how do we align value to what we do, if people are unaware of what you are doing, they can't very well talk about it, can they? So someone's got to make that effort, and it's got to be the champions within your organization, because the key is the work that you produce is what makes you memorable, it's what makes you unique. Every L&D department is different. We all may hold similar titles and maybe do similar work, but the outputs are different. The purpose is different. The passion that drives the work is different. So how are you making yourself the key to your organization? That's an important question. Where is your passion? And how is that passion manifesting itself within the work that you do and beyond? Okay, so there's a brand. I don't think that there's a more important brand, in my world anyway. So if a movie can be a brand, so can learning and development. Now let's take the Bond brand, shall we? What do you think of? What words, what comes to your mind when you see maybe this nice gentleman up there? Okay, but when you think about James Bond in general, what are some of the words that pop into your head?
Shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred. Oh, see, that's a woman after my own heart. Okay, what else? Strength. What else? Action.
Beautiful cars.
Fast cars, nice cars. What else? Sleek. Yes, yes, yes. All the things, yes. Right? A little bit of glamour, perhaps. And this is a brand that's been around for 50 years. Okay? And it's managed to sustain itself. So now thinking about your department as a brand, how are you making the unique identifier? Anymore, you don't say, I'm going to search for something. We say, we're going to Google it, right? So words now become synonymous with the brand. So we're Googling things. We're photoshopping things. So you know when you're on Instagram and you see the perfect people, you know that they've been photoshopped. So we don't say they've been digitally edited. No, we say they've been photoshopped. Right? So in the States, we'll say we'll go to a friend and we'll go, you got any chapstick on you? And they whip out whatever it is. It may not necessarily even be chapstick. It's whatever it is that's in her purse. Thirsty? There's a state in the States by the name of Georgia. You go to Georgia, and if you order a Coke could be anything from a 7-Up to a Sprite to a Dr. Pepper to a tea. It's almost synonymous with a beverage. So it's interesting, isn't it? How brands then have become part of our overall lexicon. And that's what I'm asking for us to do as L&D people. How do we do that? Well, the first thing is to understand the difference here. There is a difference between marketing and branding. Marketing is I say. This is what I tell you to believe in regards to my brand. Branding is close to marketing, but what we want to strive for here is brand identity. And brand identity means what other people are saying about me. What are people saying about you when you leave the room? That's your brand. So what we want to talk about here today is how can we get your brand to align with the work that you are already doing, and how can we move it out of the four walls of your space and into your organization. Okay, so we've got the differences here. Now, people are going to say one of three things about you as an L&D department. They're going to say something good, they're going to say something bad, or they're going to say nothing. And I'll tell you that I'd almost prefer that they say something bad than say nothing. As a business owner, there's an old joke out there that says, where do businesses go to die? Anyone know the answer to that? The second page of Google. Right? Because that means no one's talking about you. And you need people to talk about you. So where do you sit? If you go to Tesco and you talk to the young person who's stocking the shelves, and you say, who taught you about what you're doing right now? Who trained you? And the odds are is that they're going to say, Joe did. And you're going to say, no, beyond Joe. Who taught you to organize things the way that you are organizing things? And then they're going to go, Joe did. How did you learn about your personal protection equipment? How did you learn about safety? And they're going to go, oh, that. Well, we watched a computer course. We watched an e-learning course. And they're going to go, oh, yeah, those people? That, folks, is your brand. Is that what you want your brand to be? Is that what you want your brand to be? No, I need you to be a little bit more forceful about that. Is that what you want your brand to be? No. We can do better. You do better. I know all of you are out there doing fabulous work, so now let's take ownership of it and get the word out. So, this is all about changing perception, right? What my friends think I do, what my parents think I do, what society thinks I do, what my boss thinks I do, what I think I do, and what I actually do. What's the perception? I'm here to tell you that when it comes to your brand, perception is 100%. Perception is 100%. That means whatever people say your brand is, that's what it is. So there's no defending that. You can't go, well, you don't understand. Well, give me a second, let me explain it to you. No, it doesn't work like that. They go, okay, well, whatever. I still know that it's terrible e-learning. And that's the perception, and that's not what you want. So that means then we have to shift how people see us and how they view us. So here's what we're going to do. You guys ready to do a little work? Sure you are. All right. You got paper at your tables. Grab some paper or on your notebooks. Get with a partner. Or you can do it at your tables if you wish. What I'd like you to do is just take your sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on one side write nouns, on the other side write adjectives. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write 5 nouns. Just rapid fire, just 5 nouns. Car, phone, plant, pineapple, cat, candy bar, whatever 5 pop into your head. And then I want you to write down 5 vibrant adjectives. You know, like sparkly, or shiny, or electric. So an adjective that's very strong. Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 minute. All right. You guys got your list? You got 5 nouns and 5 adjectives? Everybody with me? Yes? All right. Here's what we're going to do next. I want you to pick one of those adjectives and one of those nouns, and that's going to be your business name. Just out of curiosity, what did we end up with? What have we got? I got to get down because I got to hear some of this. Okay? What'd you end up with over here? A funny dog. The Funny Dog Company. What did you guys come up with? Glorious pineapples. Awesome. Okay, what did you guys come up with over here? What'd you end up with? Aussie pineapples. Awesome pineapples. We got all kinds of pineapples. I only say pineapples because last night I was watching Googlebox, my new favorite show, Googlebox. Oh man, how meta is that? People watching people watch TV. And the lady last night had a tea cozy that was a pineapple. Okay, all right, so now you have your business name. So here's your job. Your job now is to determine the value statement, which means, what's your purpose? So now you've got a company by the name of Funny Dog. So what do you think your purpose is? Right? It could be anything, right? So if we're taking Funny Dog could be a pet supply place, or it might be a bar, right? So what's your value statement? What's your benefit? What's your purpose? What's your passion in regards to your business name? So let's do that. So I'm going to give you 45 seconds. Okay? So value statement. I'm going to walk around back here because I have a microphone and 2 legs. Okay, so what business do you guys have? Oh no, she's at our table. What? Busy skateboards. Fizzy. Love it. Fizzy skateboards. Okay. We weren't going to go for hairy mountains. Okay, that might have been interesting. Okay, so what's your value? What's your purpose? Skateboard brands for over 40s. Oh, that's awesome. If that's where it better come with like headgear, something to keep myself safe. All right, great. So now the next part is, and you guys kind of narrowed that down a little bit, is who is your target audience? So now I'd like you to be specific with this. So beyond thinking about, the under 20, over 50 range, think about, if you're going to say they're going to be over 40, okay, over 40, highly educated, female, social media savvy, people who care about skateboarding, or if you've opened up a bar, people who care about, IPAs. So who exactly is your target audience? So go to work on that. What's the name of the company? Humongous helicopters for celebrities. Perfect. Who else? And robbers. So if you want to steal stuff, come to our company. We can help you with that. That's fabulous. Okay, so now you have your target audience. So now it's time to work on the attributes. So when we're talking about the attributes of your company, that means what's your tone? What's your tone? So are you funny? Are you a humorous company? Are you like environmental? Are you very holistic? Do you want to reach out and touch someone in a very politically correct manner? Of course. So how do you see your company? Is it, do you see it as being a go-getter or rebellious? How do you see your company? So now let's put some attributes behind it. What do we got over here? What's your company? Cute Cat, the Cute Cat Company. And what kind of business is it? To design the cutest cat clothing the world has ever seen. I like that. So obviously your target audience then is? Upper class retired male cat owners. That's very specific. But I like it, okay? And so now, what do you see your attributes being?
In the tone, you mean?
Yep, your tone.
So, tone to be really serious and direct, i.e. buy your cat our clothes.
Serious, direct, buy your cat our clothes. Your cat needs our clothes.
Market research suggests it, yes.
Yes, the market research suggests as much. Well done. Okay. So now you guys talk to me. Why is this sort of exercise beneficial in regards to what we do daily? How is this helping us as an L&D department?
Ask yourself the same question.
Yes, you ask yourself the same questions. Right? And there's nothing to say that you can't come up with it. You need a business name of some sort, and usually it's some sort of stodgy, we are the university, right? Which is fine, I suppose. But I think we could be in this, back in the 90s, that was okay. In the early 2000s, it was okay, because I have to admit, I did run a corporate university. So I understand, I get it. But nowadays, I think we could be a little bit more fun. So it is then about identifying those sorts of attributes. And this is what the worksheet is going to walk you through, along with a few other questions. So now, how many of you feel like you've got a good working business model? Now you guys are all going to quit L&D and go working for Fuzzy Cats, right? I was like, I've got a business idea now. Thank you very much, Shannon. We now lost half the L&D industry. Sorry, Don. Okay. But here's the key. Now, with what you have determined, you have figured out what the awareness is, and this is what marketing is all about. Marketing and branding is all about building awareness, building interest, building desire, and then creating action. So when you think about the company that you have now, the action with the cats, the action is you, over 40 gentlemen, wealthy to do, you are going to dress your cats in my clothing. There's no question about that, okay? Now, what is the action besides buying cat clothing? Or in our case, we want people to participate or be active participants in their own learning and development, right? That's usually the goal. But beyond that, what? So now, I'm sorry, go ahead, what? Share, right. What else do we want people to do? Promote. So that's something for you to think about. So now I'm going to have you go back to your business model here real quick and think about what is the action? What is the call to action for your business? Meaning, what do you want people to be able to do? You can recognize these brands. Now, British Airways, they want you to buy tickets to fly somewhere. Ben & Jerry's, they want you to buy ice cream. Sure. But beyond that, what does Ben & Jerry's stand for? Anyone have a thought about that? Wacky flavors. They want you to have fun with their product. Yes, they do, don't they? They have a huge emphasis on social responsibility. So not only do they want you to eat and have fun, they also want you to think a little bit. All right, so go back to your businesses and think about what's the action? Have a chat. What's the action about your businesses, the ones that you just created? Nice. So when you think about, we want people, what do you want people? You want people to be able to learn how to speak better.
To overcome their fears.
Overcome their fears, right? So maybe it's about, internal strength, being able to connect with others, networking. So what I'm asking you to think about here is thinking beyond the obvious, right? So it's about thinking beyond the obvious. And in order to do that, we have to generate interest and we have to cultivate those attention moments. So if you think about attention, let's think about Apple. How do they grab our attention? Pardon me? Their launches. Right. Their launches are pretty unique. So talk to me about their launches. How do they grab our attention during their launches? New product, new features. Or they try to tell us that it's a new product with new features, right? The secrecy around it, yes. Don't think that that's not a marketing technique. It absolutely is.
Always the same time.
Always the same time, right. That's another thing. So now we can depend on it every September, October or so, at least in the States. We've got a new iPhone coming out. Those are all marketing tactics. And those are things that we can take advantage of. So you think about, how do we gain people's attention? How do we gather in their interest into what we're doing? Above all else, what we should be doing as an industry should be interesting. So let me plant this thought in your head. They won't be interested in you unless you produce interesting work. Right? It seems to make sense. But we know sometimes we fail a little bit in this area, especially when it comes to the compulsory, mandatory things. Although I have yet to see a compliance regulation that says you must make this as dull as possible. You must make this as long as possible, as dull as possible, and as boring as possible, and you must use a maximum amount of clip art. I haven't seen that rule, yet that seems to be most of the e-learning compliance courses that I see. That's not very good for our brand. Let's talk about Google and their brand. What's their brand all about? Simplicity, smart, speed, organizing. I'm sorry? Problem solving. Go to Google. You know, we say that. Go Google it. Let me Google that for you. Right? And it's also about fun. They have the doodles, you know, in their home pages. So it's a little bit of whimsy attached to their brand. So we see these brands and we instantly think of something. So I'm going to let you guys tackle at your tables, just for conversation purposes, M&S and British Airways. So talk about those two brands at your tables. When you think M&S and when you think British Airways, write down for me 5 things that come to your mind. What are the 5 things that come to your mind when you're thinking M&S and British Airways? It may not all be positive either, and that's okay. All right, shout something out at me. British Airways, give me something. What? Traditional. What else? Quality. Okay. Reliable. I don't know. I flew on British Airways not too long ago, and I was stuck for 5 hours on the tarmac. So yeah, that's reliable, I guess. I could be reliably stuck on British Airways. But that goes to show perception, doesn't it? Airlines is a great example of perception and quality of perception. You've got some that will live, breathe, and die by British Airways. You've got others that will never take it. Right? So where do you stand? So what else? What are some of the other attributes for British Airways, or some of the things that you came up with? It's British. I'll buy that. It says it right there. Expensive. Traditional. Okay, what about M&S? Knickers. Okay. Was not my first thought, but all right. What else? I'm sorry? Luxury. Expensive. Food. Sexy. Ooh. I'm liking the way this conversation is going. All right, yes, and all the things, yes. So now what you need to do, and why we're going through this exercise, is that you want people to talk about your learning and development departments with that speed of thought. So when I said, talk to me about our training department, or learning and development department, whatever you call it in your organization, give me the first 5 things that come to mind. And you want people to be able to rattle that off. Hopefully good stuff. Right? And so now what you need to decide as you're going through these exercises are what 5 things are people going to be saying about your departments? So here I wanted to show you this video real quick. And it's about Sweet Greens. And Sweet Greens is a salad shop, if you will, in the States.
I remember standing there looking at this space. It was so small, but you could see it. You can just imagine this experience that you could create inside.
And when we saw that little tavern, we knew that was the right spot for it.
Looking back years later, we never would have imagined that we'd be part of this bigger community of farmers, of customers, of employees. When this all began, the goal was simple: to connect with people through food. Sweet Green was born when we were still students. The three of us really bonded over the fact that there was something missing in our daily lives. We had nowhere healthy to eat.
When we started Sweet Green, nobody really believed that would work. We really had no idea what we were doing. We wanted to create something healthy, that was fun.
And wouldn't it be cool if there was a place that fit our values?
We shared this passion for creating something, and we just decided to close our eyes and do it. We really focus on creating a farm-to-table experience and educating customers that their food's locally sourced.
In the early days, we started simply by just going straight to farmers markets and meeting farmers at their stands. Years later, some of those initial connections we made at the farmers market are some of our strongest partners. For us, we really believe in making an impact in the communities where we opened. The big thing we've done this past couple years is a program called Sweet Green in Schools, where we go into the public school system and educate 4th and 5th graders just on healthy eating. It's been a really exciting way to interact with the community, and we look forward to taking with us everywhere Sweet Green goes.
It's a fruit bowl. This is delicious. Stay healthy.
When we opened our second store, not doing any business, bought a giant speaker, set up outside on the sidewalk, and something magical happened. It was no longer just a place to eat.
We did our first block party, and it was incredible.
The block party turned into a bigger block party, which turned into our first festival, which was maybe 500 people.
The next year, we found these incredible partners.
We had the opportunity to take a big gamble,
When you think about the Sweet Life Festival, it's really a party with a purpose.
where we bring together 20,000 like-minded people to listen to amazing music while eating healthy food and giving back to a great cause.
We really see this as just the beginning. And as we grow, we can't wait to spread this idea of the sweet life and living well and bring this to new communities and build new partnerships.
We want people to think about eating healthy in a different way. That's easy, that's fun, that's approachable. We want to make sure that we create an impact in the community, with the customers, and with the farmer.
What really excites us, it's not just the food, it's not just the music, it's to create experiences where passion and purpose come together.
Don't you guys want to just grab a salad right now? Right? And I think that this video is really important. In that it's not about salad. That was not about salad. It was about community and passion and connection. So learning and development, training, it's not about learning and development and training. It's about connections, and it's about sharing. And it's about knowledge growth. It's about curation. It's about helping people be the best that they can be in the moment where they need to be it. Right? So when you think about your brand and you're thinking about how are you talking about learning and development within your organization, are those the words you are using? So I'll ask you to think about that. Because as you see here on the screen, we've got 74% of candidates reveal that they want a job where they feel like their work matters. So for me, that's a call to action for us as an industry, creating or helping them be a part of something that matters. Just like the people at Sweetgreens. And it's easy, could you just put up a salad shop and be successful? Probably. But when you got this feeling of oneness and community, and people want to be a part of that. And that's what we try to do. That's what we try to do as an industry. So giving those people the tools to be able to do that. So here are the questions that I'm going to ask you to think about in regards to your departments. What do we do? Who do we do it for? And how are we unique? So those are three very big questions. Those three questions equate to your team adding value to the organization. So when you have the answers to those questions, what do we do? As you did in your example earlier, it's just not about, just having big helicopters. It's about having big helicopters to, provide celebrities a means to get somewhere or to help the bank robbers lift their money. What is it that you're trying to do? Who do we do it for? And your tone. What makes you unique? What makes you different? So those are the things that you're going to see, and along with these questions. So now with the branding workbook that I've just given you access to, there is a list of 10 questions on the very last page. And some of those questions are those. Who do you serve? Why do you care? That's an important question. And it may seem self-serving, but you need to be able to answer that question. Why do you even care about the industry that you're in today? Why do you care about your jobs? And why does it matter to the people for whom you serve? Why do you care? If you don't care, well, if I were in the States, I'd say y'all need to hit careerbuilder.com. But I assume you all care. You're not looking for a new job. You're not looking for a new gig. So why do you care? And that's going to come out in your messaging. What do you provide and what makes you different? It's your world. It's up to you to shape it. Because if you don't shape it, someone else is going to do it for you. Whether that's somebody at the C table, someone sitting in risk management, somebody sitting in HR, someone sitting in finance, or Johnny, who's on the front lines. Someone's going to set the message for you. I would assume you would want to be in control of that message. Now, of course, this is all contingent. There is a very large asterisk to all of this. And the large asterisk is that you must be doing good work. So you can't run around and say, we're doing all of this great work and then not producing it. And that's what the rest of this conference is about, is to help you get from point A to point B. So now what I want to show you here are some examples of work that I've done in the past. So I used to work for a company called Ambia. Some of you may be familiar with this company. Anyone here familiar? No? You might see their trucks rolling around, and this is a horticulture company. And their core value, our environment and workspace are important to our employees' health and their well-being. And it's important to note that that was a core value. So it wasn't that their environment and workspace is important to our customers' health and well-being. It's important to the employees as well. So that's a call to action for me when I came in and started putting together their training department. It's like, this is a really good jumping off point. But what I want to do now is I'm going to get into tactics or tactical stuff with you that I want to show. When it comes down to building your brand, there are some things to keep in mind. So there are some consistency things for you to think about. So first off, what we had is an overall branding guidelines. Are you familiar with branding guidelines? Okay, I see some nods and some not so nods. Okay. Branding guidelines mean this is your structure around what you're going to produce. In this case, if you, sorry, I do not have a pointer, so I'm going to break presentation rule 101 and go over here. These were the designated colors of the L&D department. Now, part of the Ambius logo was the color bar in of itself. The color bar was part of the overall logo. So I took advantage of that. The original color bar for the business was a variety of shades of green. So now how can I make it look the same, but different enough, so when people saw that particular color bar, they knew it was coming out of my department. They knew all of that work was associated with us. So you'll notice that up there, the Ambius University stamp, the colors matched what the color bar was. So you have some consistency there. Then there were some important notes here. Text should never be placed within the graphic bar. Please don't put words in there. So those were instructions from me to my team that I worked with marketing, because you'll see here, it says, please contact your local Ambius marketing representative who will make sure you get access to the marketing resources you need. So in other words, please don't go grabbing clip art off of Google and saying that this is our work. Marketing can help you with this. So you should have marketing in your back pocket to help you to create some of these things for you. And then what's in the upper corner is just some examples of tone. Some of the words we wanted people to use and the way we wanted them to use it. And I know that feels prescriptive, but when you're working with a larger department, it's good to get everybody all on the same page so that your work has a consistent look and feel to it. If you're trying to say that we're going to be fun, or we're going to be a little snarky, or we're going to be a little rebellious, or whatever our tone of voice is, you want everyone, and you want that tone of voice to be dripping in each of your work. So here's some examples, other examples that you all need to pay attention to. So there is the logo and the different ways that you can use the logo. That's the color bar. These are the different sorts of colors and the different tones of the colors. The types of pictures we even wanted you to use. Excuse me. So being that it was a horticulture company, obviously we have lots of shots of plants, but it's key to note that we wanted people to use what we call in situation photos. So you've got the flower in a situation there with the woman, more realistic. Okay. So, now here's another company that I worked for and built their branding for them. So the branding that we did here, it's kind of different, but what I wanted to show you here were the different types of media that could be used. So as you can see in the upper right corner there, it says with U plus online you can, and U plus stood for you plus us, you plus your professional development, depending on the different categories that you had. So there were blues, oranges, yellows. And so here was the intranet website that we developed for them. Because I didn't want a homepage on the LMS, because you know what? Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, gee, I can't wait to get into my LMS. Nobody says that. So we needed to create a landing page for them. And so the landing page was all about this. So they could access certain areas for their computer dependent upon their business, and they also had a book library to go to. This was something that would pop up whenever they went to the intranet site. It was like a pop-up ad, like what you see now. And then this was a video, was a doodle video that we created showing them how U+ could work for them. So not a serious video, it was a doodle video that was a little bit fun. It was 3 minutes in length that described what they could expect out of their L&D department. This is what you can expect from us. Not what we expect out of you, but what you're going to get out of us. And that's something really important. And so there's when you think about tone, we had our messaging, which was part of the banner. And then what I wanted to also show you up there was another example of some of the banners that they might see on designated emails that were sent out to the group. Okay, brochures. Old school sometimes works. We don't need to get all high-techy with this stuff. So these were brochures that were sent out with people's paychecks, reminding them that they had opportunities for their professional development. These were not items that were sent out when we were rolling out something new. This was, oh, look, a surprise from learning and development. Because you know what your messaging is now. You send out an email only when you want them to do something, or when they've forgotten to do something. Right? So we want to change that kind of messaging, and this is another way that you can do that. And you'll notice again, we've got our colors, we've got our fonts, it all aligns. So this was something that's consistent in the messaging. Again, if they got this, they knew who it was coming from. There was no confusion. And that's really important. If you think about your favorite brand, you know it when you see it. You see the Google G, you know it when you see it. You know the Apple, right? Okay, so briefly, what I want to do here is talk about 3 areas in which you can get your brand out: internal, direct, and through the internet. So, remember, your content, the big asterisk, your content has to be good. So smart, clever, and unique, highly addictive content. You got to be interesting for people to be interested, right? So when you're thinking about emails, your website, your blogs, how many of you have a department blog? Ooh, break my heart. Okay, my heart just broke. Okay. Yes, you need a blog. Why do you need a blog? You tell me, why do you need one? It's messaging. Yeah, yes. There's a certain feeling of being alive, that your department is alive, that your thoughts are alive. It's also about transparency. So this is the other part of marketing that is important, is the act of transparency. One of the things that, regardless of the organization that I worked for, was always to start a blog page on a website. And that's where people could see all of our projects in motion. They were seeing all the updates in our projects. They knew exactly what we were working on during any given time. And it didn't matter to me if only one person saw it. It didn't matter. That meant that one person was informed. And nobody could say that we were keeping secrets. Complete, above board, transparent. Creating internal awareness, that was the key. The whole point here is to be seen. If the only time you guys come out of the shadows is when they need new ladder safety created, then we're failing as an industry. So it's beyond just creating stuff and hoping people will find it. It's about putting together your value statement, It's about understanding what you're passionate about. What does your department stand for? What does your team stand for? And together, how are we going to message that? Because you are building a community. And it's not just your team. You got to find those people out in your business who are willing to go out and be your champions. Because when it comes to writing something and doing direct and targeted marketing, these are the areas that you can use to help you. What I like to call 6 ways to meet your lover. Okay. Flyers, promos, posters, mailers, newsletters, text messages. All of these things can be used to help advertise what you produce. Here's an example. One of the organizations that I worked with were creating these lunch and learns. So at noon, people would brown bag it, bring their lunch to these little pop-up classes, if you will. Excuse me. And they were having trouble getting buy-in, having people actually show up. And I could understand that. It's lunch, and not everybody wants to take a class while they eat lunch, right? But when you really dug down and you unpeeled the onion, it just turned out that people forgot. And they said, well, we'll send an email. It's like, well, no, it gets lost in the 50 other emails that they've received that day. So what we did is we created door hangers. So I don't know if you remember old school door hangers, where you'd come home from work and there'd be something hanging on your door from the local pizza place. We would see that in the States. So we created quasi, if you will, door hangers that the team ran around in the office and hung them on the office doors or put them on the chairs or put them in the cube areas so people would have a very visual reminder that something was happening. And attendance shot up 75%. Sometimes all you need is a reminder. But a clever reminder, one that looks nice, one that's got good messaging, you got a good tagline, you're giving people a reason, a call, what we in the industry like to call a call to action. You're giving them a reason to show up. So these are some of the techniques that you can use. And I will ask you to please just say no to the corporate newsletter. Okay? So you got this little bit right here. It says, working at heights safety. Oh, yay! I can't wait. Does this look familiar that you're buried in the corporate newsletter? Probably on page 5 with a little calendar. Yeah. You guys need to be a little bit more rebellious with that. Beg forgiveness. And create something that might be just a little bit more in touch. So something that is specific to you, short, just like this. So here's a Ben & Jerry's newsletter that you get. Remember, you're thinking marketing. You're not thinking L&D. You are marketers right now in this room. Okay, so here you're going to, milkshakes make your summer. Now, why can't you do that? You got summertime coming around. You can say the best grills for kicking off your summer, the best recipes for kicking off your summer, okay? And then you got your best grill recipes up on top here, and then a little safety thing underneath that says how to avoid getting burned, right? So you've done your job. You've been all teachy with them, but you've given them something good to take away as well. And that makes them open it. Because that's the first barrier, is to get them to actually open it. So you need to create something interesting for them. So this is a template that I would have you follow, is to put something fun and interesting, and then your message, your outcome. But keep it short, just like this. And there are plenty of programs out there that can do that for you. Ask your marketing department. I'm sure they have a subscription to one. And all you need to do is piggyback on it. Okay? Does that sound doable? It's not a lot of work. You think it is, but it's not. In some of these programs, you can plan your newsletters well in advance, and you can set them and forget them. So they're set on automation. You don't even have to remember to send them out. They'll go out for you. And that is something that you want to do. So here's an example. So here's something that I created that had something to do with electric safety that we were rolling out. So creative image, a little plug here, something funny to start off with, and then the reminder to go to the electrical safety course. You know, so you see a picture like that, it kind of, you're like, what is that all about? And hopefully they want to open it for you. All right, so now just a few other things before we conclude is, remember, fresh and demand content. And I've given you a series of things for you to be able to use, different blogging tools, video tools, your website, and don't forget social. So for those of you who have a social enterprise network, use it. Use it for advertising purposes. Advertise what you're doing, put it into place. Then, remember here, what if I write and nobody comes? Writing's hard. Yes, it can be hard. It takes practice, though, and you can do that. And we're going to put that into action here in just a second. But before I conclude, I'd ask you to make note of Seth Godin and look at his blog. He writes a daily blog, and that blog is no more than maybe 200 words. Maybe. But I encourage you to go and look at it because it gives you a good idea as to how you can write. You don't have to write 1,000 words, just something short and clever to let people know what you're doing and what you're up to. And remember, it doesn't always have to be teachy. Be interesting. Okay. This also is in your planning worksheets. It's about planning and research and everything that we've just talked about, which is all about your platform, your identity, your systems, and identifying what you're going to give people. So this just sums up everything that we've just talked about. So we've been through this process now. So even though you created a brand for your fake company, it's still something that you can do. So just change out the name. So maybe instead of fuzzy pineapples, you've got fuzzy trainers, but maybe that's not the greatest example. Okay. So as a reminder, because I know you guys are going to rock this. Right? How do you feel? Do you feel like you can rock this? Yes? I need a little bit more enthusiasm from you. Come on. Yes. Yes. We're going to show some passion. Oh. All right. So here's what we're going to do. How much time do we have? Oh, perfect. All right. Here's what we're going to do. So what I'd like you to do right now is on a piece of paper, I want you to write the top 5 takeaways that you've gotten out of this session. Or, if you also want to write a couple of takeaways from this morning's keynote, which was fabulous. Okay, so I want you to write that down real quick right now for me. Top 5, either takeaways from this session, and you can include a couple of things from this morning. So write down 5. Okay, you got your 5? All right, stand, please. Stand. Everyone rise. Take your list. Yes, I know, a little bit of stretch. Okay, I want you to go find somebody now. I want you to go find someone. I want you to share with them your 5 takeaways. And then what I want you to do is I want you to steal one of their takeaways. So you're leaving, you will have 6, okay? So go find somebody now that you do not know. Yeah, I know, I put a caveat on that. Find somebody you do not know, share your 5, and steal one, okay? You've got 2 minutes and go. Okay, so back up here, please. Now what I want you to do, stay standing, I want you to go find someone else. So go find someone else and now share the 6 ideas that you just got from somebody and steal one from them. So I'm going to give you another minute and a half. Go. Okay, so now what you have, excuse me, so back up here. So now what you have, hopefully, is a list of 5 takeaways that you came up with on your own and 2 more to think about. So you've got 7 new ideas right now, right here, right now. You also have my deck. You have your branding worksheets. You have the 10 questions you should be asking yourself and your team to build your communication plan. And later on this afternoon, so hopefully if you want, I can go back to that screen. And I'm going to add to that Dropbox is a template for you to build a communication plan, okay? So this way you're going to be able to take it and run and be able to create some awesomeness within your department. And remember, don't be Zig Ziglar now. Like he said, you may have the best product in the world. If you can't sell it, you've still got it. You guys are creating great things for your organization. But if people don't know about it, you've still got it. And it's not doing you any good if all it's doing is collecting digital dust. Okay, so go off, use your powers for good instead of evil, and enjoy the rest of your conference.